the bitter consequences of fear, the end of love. My name is Mary and my husband at the moment. My name is Jack. I am 51 years old and he is 52 years old. We have been married for 32 years and have 2 grown children. Both have graduated from college and are married, but no grandchildren yet. We have a comfortable life, and about a year ago we had a healthy love life. We usually made love at least twice a week. About 10 years ago, I had a hysterectomy and started taking hormone replacement therapy with Premarin. Lovingly, everything remained the same, and I maintained the same attraction as before. Then, about 2 years ago, there was a panic among my girlfriends about taking hormone replacement medications. Supposedly, they were increasing the likelihood of cancer and heart disease. I really didn't think much of it, but about a year later, I learned that most of my girlfriends had stopped taking Premarin. They urged me to stop as well. I called my OB/GYN and asked her about it. She said there were some risks, but in her opinion, it was acceptable for most women. But it was my decision. She warned me that if I stopped, I would go into menopause. I will likely experience hot flashes and sweating. I may have mood swings and my attraction may decrease, possibly to 0. Making love could be so painful that I would not be able to tolerate it. I thanked her. These were serious consequences. My girlfriends kept pestering me, telling me to stop, that sex wasn't worth dying for. They said they were glad their love lives were over. It was a relief. Their husbands weren't happy, but that was their problem. They said that if Jack persisted, tell him that you can't believe he thinks more of his body than he does of you, that he's willing to risk your life for his satisfaction. That should make him submit. I did enjoy sex, but I wanted to live to see my grandchildren. So I stopped taking that medication. I told Jack, but didn't fill him in on all the details of the likely consequences. Within a month, I started having hot flashes and sweating. Over the next few months, my libido gradually diminished. Making love became unbearably painful. Our love life was over, and just as my girlfriends had told me, I was glad. It was a relief. All I had to do was tell Jack. He didn't take the news well at all. He was very upset, saying he wasn't ready to give up his sex life. I told him that I had absolutely no attraction or desire. I was physically, mentally, and emotionally unable to do it anymore. He kept talking about trying Premarin in low doses. Finally, I got sick of him and said, "Enough! I don't want to hear about it anymore. I can't believe you are so selfish and think so little of me that you are willing to risk my life just to fulfill your needs. Why don't you grow up and stop whining? It's over. Deal with it." He just looked at me and walked away. He came home very late and slept on the couch. He sulked for a couple weeks and gradually seemed to come around. Our lives were pretty much back to normal, just no sex. And there was no intimacy. He stopped hugging and kissing me, and there was no affection. In bed, he would turn his back to me. I realized that I didn't care. I didn't want any physical contact with him at all. About a month later, instead of going to bed after we showered, he started staying up late. He told me he wanted to watch TV to relax. At first, he did this a couple nights a week. Then it increased to almost every night. I wondered why. He had never really been interested in television before, especially late at night. The next night, he headed to the TV and I went to bed. About an hour and a half later, I had to get up to go to the bathroom and he wasn't in bed. After I finished, I went into the study. The TV was on, but Jack wasn't there. I saw that the light was on in the study, so I went to the door. Jack was sitting in front of the computer watching a video of girls. At that moment, I walked into the room and screamed loudly, "So this is what you do in front of the TV in the evenings?" He started to get up and tried to turn around, but got tangled up in his shorts, which were down below his knees. He lost his balance, dropping his towel as he caught the back of the chair. Then he pulled up his shorts and looked at me. It was almost comical. It would have been perfect if it had been captioned, "America's Most Embarrassing Home Video." I started with a question. "What are you doing? I can't believe you, a grown man, can't control your sexual urges. I can't believe you could humiliate yourself and me like this. I have absolutely no respect for you anymore." He replied, Well, if you hadn't decided that our sex life was over, I wouldn't have done it. It was your decision. You assumed that I could just turn off my feelings because that's what you wanted. Well, I can't and won't try. Watching videos of girls doesn't hurt you, and it certainly doesn't hurt me. It's not hurting anyone. At least I'm not cheating on you with other women. I shot back. You? With other women? That's a laugh. Look at you. You're 52 years old. You don't shave half the time, you're at least 30 pounds overweight, and your clothes aren't fashionable at all. You look like a puffed-up sausage. You're wrong. I pointed to his belly and said, "The only way a woman could make love to you is if you paid her. I'll tell you this. If you can find a woman who will make love to you without paying her, I want you to bring her home and sleep with her in our bed while I watch. I'm not worried one bit because that will never happen." I saw tears start to form in his eyes, but I kept going. I slowly looked him over from head to toe with the most disgusted look I was capable of. I said, "You're not sleeping in our bed. You can sleep here in the study with your computer girl, and I better not find any stains on my furniture or carpet." Then in my most venomous voice, I said, "You are disgusting and pathetic." Then I turned around, walked back into our bedroom, and slammed the door shut. I was very proud of myself and had no problem going back to sleep. The next morning I got up and noticed that Jack had already left for work. I think he quietly got dressed and left. I was pretty hard on him and said some pretty harsh words to him, and I can't believe I actually made him cry. But I decided that what I did was the only way to make him realize that our sex life was over. He just had to accept it. I went to work knowing it was for his own good. I always got home from work before Jack did. I went into our bedroom to change before dinner and noticed that most of his clothes, shoes, and toiletries were gone. He must have come home at lunchtime and taken his things out. But where to? I knew he wasn't really leaving, so I checked the spare bedroom upstairs. I was right. It was all there. I had changed my clothes and set dinner on the table when he came in. I told him to sit down and eat while it was hot. He did and ate without saying a word. I said, "I noticed you moved into the spare bedroom upstairs." He ignored me. "Could you tell me why?" He looked at me intently and finally said, "Last night you made it perfectly clear what you think of me. The mere sight of me disgusts you. So I'm sure there's no way you want to see me in our marital bed. Actually, it hasn't really been our marital bed for quite some time. It's just where we sleep. I think you'll be pleased." I said, "I just didn't want you in our bed last night. I didn't want you to move in. You're being ridiculous and childish. All I want is for you to realize and accept that our sex life is over. I don't want to fight with you about this anymore. I'm sorry I was a little harsh, but it was the only way I could get it to your head." Jack replied, "The only thing I realize is that your sex life is over, and I am disgusting and pathetic. I moved away so as not to offend you with my presence. That way, if I want to watch videos, I can do it behind a closed and locked door. I will not subject you to that humiliation." Then he went upstairs. I was stunned. I didn't expect so much resistance or resentment. After about 45 minutes, he came downstairs in gym shorts and a t-shirt and headed for the door. I stopped him and asked him where he was going. He said, "You were right about one thing last night. I am an overweight slob. I allowed myself to relax. I renewed my membership at Bally's Fitness, and I'm going to work out." I laughed and said, "It's definitely not going to last. You're not going to be able to stick to that routine. I don't even believe that's where you're headed. I think you're going to one of those adult video stores." He just looked at me, and I could see the pain in his eyes. Then he walked out. I opened the door and yelled, "I'm going to check on you and see if that's where you're going." I waited 15 minutes and drove to the fitness center. Sure enough, his car was in the parking lot. I walked over and looked out the window. There he was, running on the treadmill. I think he was telling the truth this time. I went home and went to bed. In the morning, I saw Jacka as he was leaving. He just looked at me and then left without saying a word. Things were not going the way I had envisioned. I decided to back off and let him calm down. All I managed to do was completely freak him out and push him away. It really wasn't what I wanted. I really did still love him. Maybe I had gone too far with him. I had already made dinner when he came home. He sat down and started eating without saying a word. I asked him how his day was, and he just said, "Good." I told him that I had talked to the kids and told him about them. He replied, "That's good." I asked how his practice went. Again, "Good." I said, "I bet your muscles are sore. I bought a bottle of Motrin at the store and put it in the upstairs bathroom." He just said, "Thanks." We finished eating, and he went upstairs to the spare bedroom that was now his bedroom. He came down 30 minutes later, dressed to go to practice again. I said, "Have a good workout." He just nodded and left. Over the next month, Jack got into the habit of working out on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I checked on him from time to time, and he was always there. As time went on, he became a little less cold and aloof. It wasn't even close to a normal relationship, but we had real conversations and were polite to each other. After about 3 months, I noticed a big change in Jack. He had lost over 30 pounds and had gotten fit. His new clothes fit him, and he kept himself in good condition. He was a different person. I even had thoughts of what it would be like to make love to the new Jack. But my sex drive was still absent. The lack of hormones had undoubtedly taken its toll on me. A few months later, I came across a research publication that said that the risks of taking Premarin were not as great as suggested. Some studies even suggested that there were benefits to it. I was confused. Was what I had gone through and what I had done to Jack not even necessary? In the end, I decided that there really wasn't much risk, and I was willing to take it. I called my OB/GYN, and she said I had to come in for a checkup before she would give me a prescription. I scheduled an appointment for the following week. She refrained from telling me, "I told you so." I wasn't going to tell Jack until I saw my doctor. I didn't know how he would take it. Would he be happy and excited that we could be the way we were before? Or would he be even more pissed off because I never should have put him through all of this in the first place? I really missed him and wanted him back in our bed with me. When I really thought about how I had treated him, I felt horrible. I had been absolutely cruel to him. I honestly don't know why I did it. Maybe it was a hormonal imbalance. But still, it didn't excuse my behavior. For the first time, I thought I might actually lose him. After I talked to my doctor, I was going to sit him down and try to explain it all, and I was going to apologize for how much I had hurt him. I hoped that would be enough. Saturday night around 7 p.m., the doorbell rang. I went to the door, and it was Marcia. She and Ted were in a group of friends we used to go out with. I hadn't seen her in almost 2 years. Ted was diagnosed with cancer, and they had to withdraw from social life when he started treatment. The cancer was advanced and aggressive, and he died about 18 months ago. I regretted not keeping in touch with her. I invited her in and told her how sorry I was. I asked her how she was doing. She said that for the first year, she just stayed home and withdrew from everyone. But eventually, she realized it wasn't doing her any good. In the last 6 months, she changed her attitude and got her life back on track. She said that she had allowed herself to relax, and if she had any hope of male companionship, she would have to clean up her act. She joined the Bally's Fitness Center, and that's where she ran into Jack. I was a little embarrassed and said, "I'm glad you're feeling better, but why are you here?" She said, "Jack invited me." I replied, "I don't understand." "What do you mean?" Jack walked in and said, "Exactly like that. I invited her over. Marcia and I are going out. After we met at Bally's, we went to lunch to talk and catch up. She asked about you, and I told her exactly what was going on between us. We started meeting for lunch 2 or 3 days a week. Do you remember those Saturdays when I said I had to work? We spent those together. Our feelings had grown, and we wanted to make love to each other." I was stunned. He said, "Remember when you told me that if I found a woman for sex without paying her, you wanted me to bring her home and, as you put it, make love to her in our bed while you watched? Well, there she is. I hope the sheets are clean." I did remember everything I said and how I ridiculed and humiliated him. I said, "You can't be serious? I just said all those things to hurt you. I didn't really mean it," he said. "Well, you definitely did a great job. I've never been so hurt in my life. And from my wife, the only person in the world I loved unconditionally and thought she felt the same way about me. That's exactly what you meant. You were very persistent. Neither I nor you had any doubts. I shot back. You're bluffing. You just want to hurt me because I hurt you. He simply took Marcia's hand and led her into our bedroom. I never thought this would happen. What am I saying? Obviously, I was a real fool. I slowly got up and walked to our bedroom. They were both already undressed, hugging and kissing. I couldn't believe how good Jack's body looked. And Marcia looked great too, much better than me. They lay down on the bed and made love. Jack gently kissed and cuddled her. It was one of the most erotic and sensual things I've ever seen. It was just beautiful. And it could have been me. It should have been me. But I turned it down. And for what? Why did I listen to my stupid friends? They got dressed, and Jack said, I'm moving in with Marcia. I'll come by tomorrow and start moving my stuff out of the house. I've talked to my lawyer and started divorce proceedings. I won't be as hard on you as you were on me. We will negotiate a fair division. I realize that I'm not really that angry with you anymore. You were right. I was sloppy. If I hadn't taken what you said to heart, I would have gone on living a miserable life with you. Now I have Marcia, and for the first time in a very long time, I'm happy. Thank you. And you should be happy too. You don't have to live with someone disgusting and pathetic. You can live the rest of your life all alone. I think we both got what we wanted. Then they left. I sat there sobbing. It was my fault. I can only blame myself. Our divorce will be final next month, and Jack and Marcia are planning to get married. I wish them all the best, I really do. The end! Subscribe to my channel. Thank you!